Have you ever noticed that something that used to feel natural and comforting, like self-pleasure, now feels rushed, disconnected, or even a little frustrating? I'm Serena, a board-certified men's health specialist with over 4 decades of experience helping men over 60 reclaim vitality, intimacy, and confidence in their skin. What surprises me most? So many men are unknowingly repeating the same 7 habits that quietly undermine their sexual well-being. These were techniques that once worked just fine in their younger years, but today they often do more harm than good. In this video, I'll walk you through exactly what those 6 mistakes are, how to correct them, and how to rebuild the connection between your body and your pleasure in ways that are more aligned with this chapter of life. And be sure to stay with me, because mistake number 4 is the one nearly every man misses, yet it may be the key to bringing back the satisfaction you thought had disappeared for good. Before we get started, click that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss future insights designed specifically for men navigating aging with strength and self-respect. If you find this video helpful, type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0 and tell me what I can do better. Now let's begin. One of the most common misconceptions that older men carry into their later years is the belief that holding back ejaculation, also known as semen retention, will somehow make them stronger, more focused, or more masculine. According to Dr. Serena, a leading voice in men's sexual health, this outdated idea is not only misleading, but potentially harmful. She explains that while short-term abstinence may lead to temporary changes in hormone levels, the long-term effects of suppressing natural release are far more complex and far less beneficial. When ejaculation is withheld for extended periods, the body can experience pelvic congestion, mood imbalances, and a greater risk of prostate issues. More importantly, it can create a disconnect between a man and his own body's needs. Your body was designed for natural release, Dr. Serena emphasizes. Treating it like something to avoid or control excessively turns a basic biological function into a source of stress rather than balance. For men over 60, this stress can translate into physical tension, emotional frustration, and even reduced sleep quality. Regular, moderate ejaculation has been shown to support hormone regulation, improve sleep, ease anxiety, and contribute to overall prostate health. It's not about excess or indulgence. It's about listening to what your body needs and responding with care. Think of it like stretching or staying hydrated, a simple, essential form of maintenance that helps the body function smoothly. A real-life example brings this point home. Walter, a 71-year-old retired mechanic, shared that he used to follow strict retention advice he read online, convinced it would help him regain energy and sharpen his mind. But after a few months, I just felt off, tense, irritable, and not myself, he admitted. At the recommendation of his physician, he reintroduced regular mindful self-pleasure into his weekly routine. Within 2 weeks, I was sleeping better, my mood lifted. I didn't realize how much pressure I was putting on myself to hold everything in, he said with a laugh. Dr. Serena reminds us that sexual health at any age isn't about performance or control. It's about connection and well-being. Releasing guilt, outdated beliefs, and rigid routines opens the door to deeper awareness and healthier function. In her words, ejaculation isn't a weakness. It's part of a healthy rhythm. When you honor that rhythm, your body thanks you in more ways than one. So, rather than chasing myths, the wiser approach is to return to your body, listen to its signals, and allow yourself the freedom to feel, not as a reward or an indulgence, but as a form of sustainable self-respect. Building on the idea of reconnecting with your body, Doctor. Serena moves to a second common mistake that many older men fall into without realizing it, repeating the same technique for decades. While routine can be comforting, especially when it comes to something as private and familiar as self-pleasure, it can also work quietly against you over time. Using the same grip, the same rhythm, and the same angle again and again can cause the nervous system to become desensitized, leading to a duller response, difficulty reaching climax, and even trouble feeling fully present during intimacy with a partner. Dr. Serena compares this to physical training. Imagine going to the gym and doing only one exercise every day for years, she says. Eventually your body stops responding. It plateaus. And worse, it starts to lose flexibility and adaptability. The same goes for sensory stimulation. The human nervous system thrives on variation, and when it doesn't get that, sensitivity begins to fade. This is not just a theory, it's something Greg, a 69-year-old retired school principal, experienced firsthand. For years, I never thought about it, he admitted. Same motion, same hand, same everything. But then I started noticing that it took longer, felt less intense, and sometimes I just felt disconnected. At first, Greg blamed age, but after hearing Dr. Serena speak at a men's wellness seminar, he decided to make a few changes. He began switching hands, adjusting the pressure, slowing down the pace, and exploring different sensations. Within weeks, his sensitivity improved, and so did his confidence. It was like I'd woken something up, he said with a smile. I didn't even know how much I was missing. Dr. Serena emphasizes that the solution isn't about being overly experimental, it's about staying engaged and attuned to your changing body. She encourages small shifts using a different hand, changing tempo or trying appropriate tools designed to support men's comfort and control. These adjustments are not gimmicks. They're a way of reintroducing freshness into a habit that may have grown stale. More importantly, they allow men to feel present and curious again. As Dr. Serena puts it, pleasure isn't something that disappears with age. It evolves, but it asks you to evolve with it. Just like your muscles need variety to stay strong and responsive, your pleasure centers need new signals to stay alive and awake. By making room for change, men can move away from mechanical repetition and toward a more meaningful connection with their bodies, one that honors growth, curiosity, and the joy of rediscovery at any age. As Dr. Serena continues her exploration of habits that undermine pleasure in later life, she turns to a deeply ingrained pattern that many men carry from youth into old age, rushing through self-pleasure. For decades, many men learned to masturbate quickly, often out of necessity, fear of being caught, or a lack of privacy. Unfortunately, that hurried mindset doesn't just disappear with age. It becomes automatic, transforming what could be a meaningful and restorative act into something mechanical, disconnected, and ultimately unfulfilling. This habit of rushing often leaves the body and mind misaligned. Physically, the body doesn't have enough time to gradually build arousal. Mentally, there's no room for presence, no space to truly feel, notice, or enjoy. Emotionally, the experience can start to feel flat, leaving men wondering why something that once felt satisfying now seems empty or incomplete. When we rush, Dr. Serena explains, we're not just moving fast, we're bypassing the very sensations and awareness that make pleasure meaningful. Over time, the nervous system stops responding with the same depth, not because something is wrong, but because we've stopped giving it time to awaken. Take Robert, 72, a retired architect who had fallen into this trap. I didn't even realize I was doing it, he shared. It became this quick release, 5 minutes, done, on to the next thing. But I never felt relaxed after. I just felt disconnected. After hearing Dr. Serena speak at a community men's health event, Robert decided to try something different. He slowed down. He lit a candle. He took 10 deep breaths before even starting. He focused on the sensations rather than the outcome. It felt awkward at first, I'll admit that, he said. But by the end of the week, I wasn't just getting pleasure, I was getting peace. Dr. Serena encourages men to slow the pace, intentionally breathe deeply, and pay attention to rhythm and sensation. This isn't about taking more time just for the sake of it, she notes. It's about restoring presence, tuning in rather than tuning out. When self-pleasure is approached mindfully, it becomes more than a physical act. It becomes a way of grounding the body, calming the mind, and reconnecting with oneself. In our fast-paced world, the idea of slowing down can feel foreign or even uncomfortable. But for men over 60, slowing down is often the gateway to rediscovering not just sensation but self-awareness. When you pause, breathe, and feel each moment without pressure, you begin to turn something routine into something deeply human and profoundly healing. As Dr. Serena continues unpacking the silent habits that limit pleasure later in life, she gently brings attention to one of the most overlooked truths. Many men spend a lifetime focusing only on one part of their body, the genitals, while ignoring the rich landscape of sensation that exists elsewhere. For decades, the cultural message around male pleasure has been narrowly centered on performance and release. This has led many men to associate physical satisfaction with just one area, unintentionally cutting themselves off from the full range of sensitivity their bodies are capable of offering. Yet the human body, especially in its mature years, holds countless zones that, when engaged with curiosity and care, can heighten arousal, deepen relaxation, and create a far more meaningful connection with oneself. Areas like the inner thighs, lower abdomen, chest, shoulders, neck, and even the back of the knees are rich with nerve endings and emotional memory. By limiting stimulation to only the genitals, men not only reduce their sensory experience, but they also narrow the emotional intimacy they can cultivate, even with themselves. Dr. Serena often compares this to listening to a symphony but only turning up the volume on one instrument. Yes, it plays a central role, she says, but you miss the full music if that's all you hear. When men expand their awareness beyond habit, they begin to discover new layers of sensation and emotional connection, some of which may have been quiet for decades. That was certainly the case for Earl, 75, a widowed grandfather who shared his story after a wellness retreat. For years, I never thought about it. I did what I always did, he said. But after my wife passed, I started feeling more alone in my own body. I wasn't connecting with anything, not even myself. Earl described his touch as mechanical, predictable, and increasingly unsatisfying. Then one evening, after hearing Dr. Serena talk about expanding sensory awareness, he decided to do something different. I started slow. I touched my chest, my stomach, and the inside of my thighs. It wasn't sexual at first. It was more like I was introducing myself back to myself. He paused, then added, "That night, I didn't just feel pleasure. I felt warmth. A kind of gentle aliveness I hadn't felt in years. This shift in mindset, from outcome-focused stimulation to full-body presence, isn't about being experimental or doing something unusual. It's about coming home to your body. Gentle touch, breathwork, massage, even subtle temperature contrasts like warm hands or a soft cloth. These can all awaken new sensations and allow pleasure to flow in ways that are calm, grounded, and deeply satisfying. Dr. Serena encourages men to explore without judgment. Not everything will feel amazing immediately, and that's okay. The key is curiosity, not performance. You are not just one part, she says. You are a system of memories, sensations, and awareness. When you touch your chest or the back of your neck, you're not just stimulating nerves, you're reactivating trust, tenderness, and attention. And it's this attention that often makes all the difference. When a man begins to honour his whole body, not just the parts he was taught to prioritise, he doesn't just expand his physical pleasure, he rebuilds his relationship with himself, with gentleness, reverence, and respect. So, the next time you find yourself returning to old patterns, pause for a moment, ask yourself, what parts of me have I been ignoring? Then start small. Explore, breathe, touch with intention, because the truth is, your body has more to say than you think. And when you start listening, your pleasure becomes a full-body conversation worth having. As Dr. Serena continues guiding men through the quiet shifts that can elevate their experience of self-pleasure, she arrives at a subject that often gets dismissed too quickly, the use of lubrication. While it may seem like a small detail, neglecting to use the right lubricant can have a surprisingly large impact, especially as the body ages and natural moisture levels decrease. Many men over 60 grew up associating lubrication with weakness or unnecessary complication. Some believe it's only for specific situations or that using it somehow implies dysfunction. But in truth, as Dr. Serena explains, this belief couldn't be further from reality. Lubrication isn't about fixing a problem, it's about adapting wisely to the natural changes of an aging body. Just like we wear reading glasses to see clearly or choose supportive shoes to walk comfortably, she says, using a lubricant is simply part of smart, respectful self-care. As the skin loses elasticity and moisture over time, friction that once felt fine can begin to cause irritation, dryness, or even micro-tears, especially if hand strength and control are also decreasing. These small physical stresses can lead to decreased sensitivity, delayed arousal, and emotional disconnection from the experience. Over time, what once felt pleasurable may start to feel uncomfortable or even discouraging, causing many men to quietly withdraw from touch. That was exactly what happened to Henry, a 73-year-old retired truck driver. I started avoiding it, he said, because it just didn't feel good anymore. I'd try, but it was rough and I'd get frustrated, so I stopped. Henry didn't think much of it, just assumed it was part of getting older. But after a wellness workshop where Dr. Serena discussed the role of lubrication in maintaining comfort and sensitivity, he decided to give it a try. "I bought a small bottle. Just curiosity, really," he recalled. "And I couldn't believe the difference. It was so smoother, easier. I could focus on the feeling, not the discomfort." What Henry experienced is what so many others discover once they let go of outdated pride and embrace what their bodies need. A quality lubricant can reduce friction, protect sensitive skin, and enhance sensation, not diminish it. It allows touch to feel fluid, gentle and connected rather than harsh or rushed. For men with joint stiffness or reduced dexterity, it also reduces the physical effort required, making the whole experience more relaxing and accessible. Dr. Serena encourages men to experiment and find a product that feels right. Water-based lubricants are gentle and widely available, while silicone-based ones offer a longer-lasting glide. The key is to choose something that supports your skin and doesn't introduce irritation, and most importantly, to use it with confidence, knowing that it's not a sign of weakness but a form of caring wisely for your evolving body. Letting go of shame around tools like lubricant is part of the broader emotional healing many older men are now beginning to embrace. It's about honouring comfort, pleasure and presence, not pushing through discomfort out of habit or false pride. When you permit yourself to adapt, you don't lose strength. You gain ease, clarity, and connection. So, the next time you reach for yourself, consider also reaching for support, not because you're broken, but because you've earned the right to move gently with intention and care. Lubrication isn't the exception. It's the evolution of how you relate to your own body, with intelligence, humility, and compassion. As Dr. Cara continues guiding men through the emotional landscape of aging and intimacy, she pauses to address a barrier far more powerful than any physical limitation: shame. For many men over 60, the discomfort they carry around self-pleasure isn't about technique or physical change. It's about long-held emotional conditioning. Shame, guilt, and silence about masturbation often stem from messages received decades ago in homes or communities where sexuality was taboo, and where taking time for one's pleasure was seen as inappropriate or even immoral. These messages don't disappear just because we age. They often go underground, lingering as a quiet voice that says, "You shouldn't be doing this," or "You're too old for this." Even if a man logically understands that masturbation is normal and healthy, those internal whispers can still shape his experience, turning a moment of self-connection into something rushed, hidden, or emotionally hollow. Dr. Cara emphasizes that this weight of shame doesn't just limit pleasure, it limits self-respect. But there's a shift that can change everything, reframing self-pleasure as a form of self-care rather than something to hide. It's not indulgent, it's not juvenile, it's a way to release stress, soothe the nervous system, and stay connected to your physical and emotional self. When you treat the act with care instead of judgment, she says, you begin to feel peace instead of guilt. You begin to experience calm instead of conflict. That was exactly the realization that came to Raymond, a 70-year-old former Navy veteran who had always been stoic and reserved. "Growing up, we didn't talk about sex. Not at home, not at school, not anywhere," he said. "Even now, I still feel that little voice in the back of my head telling me it's wrong." After one of Dr. Cara's talks, Raymond decided to try something different. He lit a candle, put on soft music, and allowed himself to approach the moment slowly without rushing or hiding. "For the first time in my life," he shared, "I didn't feel ashamed. I felt human." Dr. Cara often reminds her patients that freedom isn't just physical, it's emotional. Letting go of shame means asking, where did these beliefs come from? Who taught me that my body's needs were something to silence? And more importantly, do I still want to carry that weight? When men choose to release these inherited stories, they don't just improve their sexual wellness, they reclaim a sense of dignity that echoes into every part of their lives. True strength, Dr. Cara says, isn't in how much you hold back. It's in how fully you allow yourself to be present, honest, and kind to your own body. Because pleasure, when honoured instead of hidden, becomes not just a physical act, but an emotional healing. So, as we come to the end of this conversation, remember this: your age does not take away your right to feel, to enjoy, or to connect. When you let go of outdated myths, refresh your mindset, and honour your changing body with care and curiosity, you open the door to a new chapter of intimacy, one that is deeper, calmer, and more fulfilling than ever before. You don't need to prove anything anymore. You've earned the right to simply be, to live in your body with respect, to treat yourself with gentleness, and to allow pleasure to return not as performance, but as presence. If this message spoke to you, if it reminded you of something you've forgotten or something you're ready to rediscover, we'd love to hear from you. Share your thoughts in the comments below. What part of this journey resonated most with you? What are you ready to reclaim? And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to Elderly Wisdom Stories and turn on the bell so you never miss another story designed to support your strength, your self-worth, and your joy in every season of life. You still matter, you still belong, and you still deserve to feel fully alive.